Tonight, one piece of tissue paper can show you what your erection does when you're not trying to perform, when there's no pressure, no partner watching, no overthinking, just your body asleep, showing whether your erection system is still doing its overnight work. Now, I'm DrRachael Ross, physician, sexologist, founder of the DrRachael Institute. I'm going to show you how to use this simple test to read your erection power. Now, to read your erection power, protect your tissue, and improve the quality of what your body can do. Because see, your nighttime erections are not random. They're one of the clearest signs that your erection system is getting the blood flow, oxygenation, nerve signaling, and tissue expansion that it needs to stay strong through the years. And stick around to the end, because I'm also going to give you a tool that tells you the actual age of your erection, and it might be older than you are or aging faster than you are. So let's get into it. Now, here's something you may have noticed but never really thought much about. While you sleep, your body's supposed to produce erections, not once, but multiple times a night. In sleep medicine and urology, this is called nocturnal penile tumescence, or NPT. It's been studied for decades because sleep-related erections give us a cleaner look at what the body is doing physically when there's no pressure present, no anxiety or performance concerns that are getting in the way. So healthy men can experience up to 5 erections during sleep, often during REM sleep, the same phase where dreaming happens. And these erections aren't just sexual. They're kind of a maintenance program for you. See, during the day, when you're not aroused, the smooth muscle inside the penis stays contracted and blood flow is limited. That's normal. You don't need an erection like while you're walking through the grocery store, but your erectile tissue still needs oxygen, it needs fresh blood flow, and it needs a chance to stretch, expand, and stay flexible. This is where nighttime erections come in. When your body produces an erection during sleep, oxygen-rich blood fills those erectile chambers. The tissue expands, the smooth muscle gets exercised, and the blood vessels stay responsive and elastic. I call this the overnight recharge. Now, think about a car that sits in the garage for months and doesn't get driven. The battery weakens, the tires go flat, the engine doesn't respond the same way. Well, your erection works the same way. It needs regular activation to keep that tissue healthy and ready. Now, here's why this matters for optimization. If your body is still producing strong nighttime erections, that tells you your erection system has capacity, is popping. You have something to build on. Now, if those nighttime erections fade for long stretches of time, the tissue may not be getting the oxygenation and the expansion that it needs to stay healthy, so it'll start to shrink. And over time, that can affect firmness, size, elasticity, and the quality of your erections when you're ready to use them. So this test isn't just for a man who's worried about ED, it's for body literacy. This is how you check whether your erection system's still kind of doing its maintenance work while you're resting. Now, if you watched my Erection Cascade video, then you know there are 3 major ways your body can create an erection. One starts in the brain. That's with the thoughts, fantasy, attraction, visual stimulation. You see something and it turns you on. One starts from physical touch. That's the spinal reflex that responds when your body is stimulated. And one happens while you're sleeping. The last one is the one we're focused on today because it gives you a clearer read on things. See, when you're asleep, your mind isn't trying to perform. There's no worrying about whether or not you'll stay hard, no watching your partner's reaction, no checking for sounds. Every 5 minutes, your body is either producing these nighttime erections or it's not. And that's what makes this useful. This test shows whether your body is getting hard on its own without the pressure, without performance and anxiety or your mind getting in the way. And that information tells you where to focus. So if your body's getting hard at night, but you're struggling during sex, the issue may be more situational, maybe stress, it may be pressure, it may be the timing of when you're timing it. Maybe it's relationship tension, or there's some alcohol involved, or porn, conditioning, poor sleep, or even your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight instead of rest and relax. So if your body's not producing nighttime erections after several properly done nights, this is a different kind of signal, and I'll walk you through exactly what to do with it. So you're not waiting until everything falls apart. You're learning how to monitor your system now so you can protect it and improve it. Now, if you're already wondering how your erection's doing, if it's aging at an astronomical rate, that tool I mentioned is my E-Age evaluation. I built it just for that. It gives you your erection age and helps you see where to focus on: blood flow, hormones, nerve signaling, vascular response. It takes about 90 seconds to complete, and the link is here on the screen and it's in the description. Now let's talk about this test. You may have heard of the old stamp test. Back in the day, doctors would have men wrap a strip of postage stamps around the penis before bed. These were perforated stamps, and if they tore by the morning, it meant there was an erection during sleep. The stamp test was one of the early low-tech ways doctors tried to detect whether sleep erections were happening. Now, clinical testing is more advanced. Devices, expensive devices like Rigiscan, can measure changes in the rigidity and circumference during sleep, so clinicians can see what happened during the night, how firm it was, whether or not it even occurred. Now, the concept behind the old stamp test was simple. The penis expands, the strip breaks, but almost nobody has a strip of stamps sitting around anymore. So I teach the updated version, plus stamps are expensive. I call it the tissue test. I call it that for a reason. You're going to use tissue paper to learn something about your health and the activity of your erectile tissue. So for the actual test, I want you to use a thin gift of tissue paper, the kind you put in a gift bag, not the kind you use for a paper towel or a paper napkin. You need something really delicate enough to tear when your body produces a real expansion, but not so flimsy that it falls apart for no reason. So you want it to be one ply. And I'm going to show you how it works, why it works. So get a strip of gift paper, wrap it around your 2 fingers, spread your fingers apart. See how easily that tears? Now, that's the whole point. You're not trying to measure your exact hardness. You're actually looking for evidence that your penis expanded during the night. If it tears between 2 fingers, it'll tear from the erection. That means it's weak enough, so that's what we need to do. So you get yourself a piece of Scotch tape, some tissue paper, and that's that easy. Step 1, cut or tear a strip of gift tissue paper that's long enough to wrap around the shaft of your penis with just a tiny bit of overlap. Step 2, before bed, when you're completely flaccid, wrap the tissue strip around the shaft, snug but not tight. You want it resting against the skin, not squeezing it. Step 3, tape the overlapping ends together to create a paper ring. The tape holds the seam closed, but the tissue itself is the weak point. That's what we want. So step 4, wear snug underwear. Briefs are better than boxers for this because they'll help keep everything in place while you sleep. Step 5, go to sleep and let your body do what it does. Step 6, in the morning, before you get out of bed and before you start moving around, check the tissue. Is it torn? If so, your body likely produced enough expansion overnight to break the tissue. If it's still intact, that may mean a full nighttime erection didn't happen that night, or the test was not set up correctly. Your tissue paper may have been too firm. That's why one night isn't enough. You need to do this for at least 3 nights. And to make it useful, you have to follow a few rules. First, no alcohol the night of the test. Alcohol disrupts REM sleep and the sleep architecture, and that's oftentimes when nocturnal erections happen, is during REM sleep. If you drink that night, you can interfere with the very thing we're trying to observe. Second rule, skip the sleeping aids if you do that. If sleeping pills, you're using those off and on, skip it because that'll interfere with REM sleep too. But if you're relying on prescription medication, make sure you speak to your clinician before you stop using it. Third, avoid caffeine late in the day because if your sleep is restless or broken, the test becomes really harder to figure out. Fourth, do it for at least 3 nights. One night can mislead you. You may wrap it wrong. You may toss and turn. You may not even get to REM. 3 nights gives you a clearer pattern. And 5th, use snug underwear so that tissue stays in place. If the tissue tears from friction or shifting, it can confuse the results. Now, I want you to be clear about the limitations here because this matters. The tissue test is a starting point. It's not a medical diagnosis. In clinical research and urology, the stronger version of this idea is the nocturnal penile tumescence and rigidity monitoring. That kind of testing can measure how many sleep erections happened, how rigid they were, how long they lasted, and how much the penis changed in size during the night. Tissue paper can't tell you all of that. It just kind of gives you a basic starting point. It gives you a simpler first clue. Did your body likely produce a nighttime erection or not? And that clue can still be useful. I used to use this in my family practice clinic all the time because most patients couldn't afford these expensive tests. So this gives you the information that you didn't have yesterday. Now, if you're planning to try this tonight, before you do that, subscribe to the channel because every week I teach you how to read your own body like this. Stuff you'll not get at your regular doctor's office. And Drop a comment below. Are you going to try the tissue test this week? If not tonight, if you know a woman, we've all got this type of tissue paper sitting around somewhere, and each one teach one. Or you can actually use a Kleenex or a piece of tissue. Just make sure it's one ply. So if you did the tissue test for 3 nights in a row and a tour every time, that's good information. It means that you're likely still making nocturnal erections. Your blood vessels are opening. The smooth muscle is relaxing. Blood is filling the chambers. Your erection is capable of activating when your mind is out of the way. And that's good information if you really want to optimize. It tells you that maybe the last time that you performed wasn't the best, but it's a mental thing. It could be performance pressure, could be stress, poor timing, like trying to have sex when you're exhausted or distracted or after you've had a couple cocktails, relationship tension or feeling emotionally disconnected. Maybe you're not sleeping enough. Maybe your blood sugar is swinging. Maybe you've got medications on board or low T, So this test gives you clues. It could even be excessive porn consumption. See, if your body has been trained on constant novelty, then your body may still work while you sleep, but arousal with a real partner may feel, like something's missing. So this is not something to shame yourself about. It's something to just be honest about. So if the tissue tears, don't stop there and say, I'm fine. Use the information. Your body is still showing capacity. Now the goal is to improve the conditions that let that capacity show up when you want it. Start with sleep. Protect REM sleep, because that's when much of this overnight maintenance happens. Cut out the stress, because fight or flight shuts down that arousal state your erection depends on. Look at your porn patterns. Look at your masturbation patterns. If your real life arousal feels less responsive than it's used to, look at these types of lifestyle things. Look at blood flow habit. Look at your pelvic health. Look at how much you're moving. How much nitric oxide support do you have? What are you eating? What's your blood sugar levels like? Do you have cardiovascular disease? See, torn tissue does not mean that you have nothing to improve. It means your body's giving you a foundation that you need to build from. Now, if the tissue stays intact after 3 proper nights, that's really useful information. I don't want you to panic. I just want you to pay attention. If you follow the rules, there was no alcohol, you did all of the things, that's when I want you to look deeper. That's where I want you to go talk to your clinician. Make sure you don't have cardiovascular disease. And then start working on the things that we talk about on this channel, because the cause could live in several places. It could be your blood vessels, your hormones, your nerves, your sleep, your medication, your lifestyle, your blood pressure drugs, the medication that you're taking over the counter or prescribed. So here is the warning sign that matters most. Erection changes can show up before heart symptoms because the blood vessels in the penis are smaller than the vessels around the heart. That is why ED is often discussed as an early vascular warning sign. When erection quality really starts changing, it can be one of the first signals that your blood vessel system needs attention. Now, that doesn't mean every change is heart disease, but it does mean that you shouldn't ignore the signal and you should get some things checked out. You want to get a deeper look. So it's your blood pressure, blood sugar, testosterone, thyroid, your medication list. Do you have sleep apnea? How's your vascular health? See, the tissue test gives you the first piece of information, and then your clinician, your doctor, helps you see the rest of it. So here's the whole process. Gift tissue paper, Scotch tape, snug briefs, 3 nights. If the tissue tears most nights, your body's still making nighttime erections. Use that as a sign that your erection system has capacity. It's doing great. Then work on the factors that may be blocking that power while you're awake. Now, if your tissue stays intact after several properly done nights, take that as a signal to bring it to your clinician and look deeper. Either way, you now know more than you knew before. That is how you optimize, you measure, you observe, and you respond. You don't wait until the system declines for years before you pay attention. Now, if you want the deeper physiology behind every erection, how the brain, nerves, blood vessels, and nitric oxide all work together, watch this video right here on the Erection Cascade. It's the foundation for everything we just talked about. I'm DrRachael. I love you. And boom! Watch this one next.